So in the 2013-14 League One season, Stevenage FC finished bottom of the table and were relegated into League Two. Since then, apart from their first season back in League Two, they've had season after season of just misery and failure. Even in the 1920 season, finishing 23rd, which normally would see you be relegated because of COVID and Macclesfield going bust. In the end, they managed to stay in the Football League. In the 21-22 campaign, where they started out the season under Alex Ravel, then Paul Tisdale came in, and even Steve Evans ended the season there. They finished 21st in the table. After a summer rebuild, a full season under Steve Evans, they are now back in League One. They finished second, runners-up to Leyton Orient, and they will be playing League One football again at next campaign. In today's video, we are going to be discussing the Stevenage squad, where they need to improve, and specifically who they could sign to improve that squad. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me. If you could try and hit 70 likes on today's video, that'd be massively appreciated. Subscribe if you're new as well. We are on the road to 8,000 subscribers, so please make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already, with that post notification bell on. It's free to do so, and it does massively help out. Drop a comment in as well down in the comment section down below. Let me know down below, Stevenage fans, do you agree with these positions that I think you need to improve in? And also, out of all these players that I do go on to suggest, how many of them would you like to see your club sign? Let's waste no further time and get straight into it. Now, I have already done one of these videos for Carlisle United and Northampton Town. In today's video, though, we are speaking specifically about Stevenage FC, and then later on we should have a video coming out about Leyton Orient in the next coming days or weeks. Stevenage have certainly been one of the busier clubs so far in the transfer window, and here is how their squad is currently shaping up at the time of recording. Obviously, something could happen between the time that this comes out and recording, all that sort of stuff, so I can only apologise if it's slightly out of date, but we've even got new signing Louis Thompson in there. They have made a fair decent amount of signings so far, and one big thing is they've kept hold of the majority of the players that they wanted to keep. Jake Reeves was offered a new contract, he turned it down to join League Two side AFC Wimbledon, and Alex Gilby, who they had on loan from Charlton last season, has since joined MK Dons. But if we have a look at all their positions, then goalkeeper, I certainly think they need another option in there. We all know the goalkeeper crisis Stevenage had last season, where they ended up finishing with about 6 or 7 goalkeepers that played for them throughout the last campaign. They had so many emergency loans because they had such a big injury crisis, but they managed to get Tay Ashby-Hammond back in on a permanent contract, which I think is big news for them, as he was brilliant in the first half of the season when he was fit. Right back / right wing back is the only position I don't think they need to improve in. Getting James Wilding, to sign a new contract with the club is big news. Nathan Thompson coming in on a free transfer from Peterborough United, I think that's a great signing. Can play right back, right wing back, or even do a job as a right-sided centre-half in a back three. And then Kane Smith, I don't really know too much about, to be honest with you. In terms of their centre-back options, they've got Dan Sweeney and Terence Van Kooten on the right side, and then Cal Piergiani on the left side. If they're going to play a back three, I certainly think they need another 2 centre-backs in there, but if they're going to play a back four, then they clearly need a left-sided centre-back, but we'll have to wait and see. Because Nathan Thompson can play right-sided centre-back in a back three, I wouldn't go out and spend a budget really on another centre-back, just in case you want to play a back three potentially. Left back, they clearly need 2 of them. Saxon Early's currently been heavily rumoured. They want him back from Plymouth Argyle. Obviously, he was with them for the first half of last season on loan, and then he since joined Plymouth in January, where it's not really worked out for him so far, so they'll be looking to get him back in. Into the midfield then, you've got Louis Thompson, Jake Forster-Caskett and Nick Freeman. Now, I'm not sure specifically if Thompson is a 6 or a number 8, but I'll put him as a number 6 just for the sake of balance, really. No other reason, obviously. They brought in Jake Forster-Caskett on a new contract as well. He signed there. Nick Freeman's come in from Wickham, and Louis Thompson has come in from, I want to say it was Portsmouth. In terms of their attacking players then, Elliot List, I think, recently signed a new contract with the football club. He obviously spent the majority of last season out injured, so having him back is big news, and I'm more than likely he will play as a striker if they do play a back three, but as of right now, I'm going to stick with the 4-2-3-1 graphic because it just makes it easiest. Obviously, if they are going to play some sort of a 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, then they will need a number 10, but because they haven't really played with a number 10 throughout the whole of last season, I don't see why they'd suddenly want to then play more attacking, so that wouldn't really make sense to me. So I'm not going to suggest that they go out and spend loads of money on an attacking midfielder. Left wing, they've brought in 2 players, Alex McDonald from Gillingham and Harry Anderson from Bristol Rovers. I think they're 2 really good signings, to be fair, for this level. And then strikers, they've got Jordan Roberts, Jamie Reid and Josh Marsh, recently agreed a new contract as well with the football club. So again, I think they could do with maybe another option in there. In total then, I think they need 1 goalkeeper, no right backs or right wing backs, no right-sided centre-halves, 1 left-sided centre-back, 2 left-backs or left wing backs, 1 holding midfielder, 1 box-to-box midfielder, 1 number 10, but I don't really think that they're going to play with that. So I'm going to actually say they don't need a number 10 because I don't think they are going to play with one right winger, no left wingers, and one striker as well. Now then, let's get into my suggestions individually. Starting out then with the goalkeeper, I'm going to suggest Chris Maxwell. He has recently been released by now League One side at Blackpool FC. Obviously, he's played quite a lot for them last season in the Championship, playing 28 matches in total for them. To be fair, he had a 64% save percentage, which isn't great. He didn't play the last couple of games of the season. He did find himself on the bench for that, but Blackpool's defence last season was really, really poor. Yes, a 64% save percentage isn't great, and I think Maxwell will probably start out the season as backup to Ashby Hammond if he's obviously a player who Steve Evans has his eye on, but he's a pretty steady, solid goalkeeper, and I think he would work well under Steve Evans. 32 years of age, so he'll obviously bring that experience to try and guide someone like an Ashby Hammond through and, teach him what he already knows and all that sort of stuff. Yes, it was a massive underwhelming, poor season for Blackpool, but I still do think Chris Maxwell could do a steady job as a League One backup goalkeeper. In my opinion, I think he would be a good signing for Stevenage. In terms of my left-sided centre-half suggestion, I also suggested him for Carlisle United. I'm going to suggest Emmanuel Montfey. He has recently been released by Walsall FC. I still don't understand why they released him, to be honest with you. I thought he was one of their better players last season. Left-sided centre-halves are so hard to come by. I think Emmanuel Montfey is ready to make that step up back into League One. Can play centre-back, left-back. He's a very versatile player, and for his frame and his size, I think he certainly would suit the Steve Evans style of play. 28 years of age as well, so not even coming into his prime years yet. Last season for Walsall started 44 matches for them, which is pretty decent. And I know Stevenage had a couple injury problems in their defence last season, so playing 44 matches, he's clearly got that robustness about him. He chipped in with 2 goals and 2 assists as well from centre half, which is not too bad. He kept 15 clean sheets in a Walsall side, which is absolutely shocking last season. He averaged 1 interception per game, 1.6 tackles per game, and 3.5 clearances per game as well. He averaged 5.6 total duels per 90, 2.6 on the ground, winning 55%, and 2.9 in the air, winning 62%. So he's clearly a strong physical unit which suits the Steve Evans style of play. Now, if you bring him in and you play a back 3, you maybe play Nathan Thompson on the right side, Terence Van Kooten in the middle, and then Piergiani on the left side, but then you could even go with Piergiani in the middle, Montfey on the left side. If you get the options in there, I certainly think because he's left-footed, he would be a very good option for Steve Evans' side, and Steve Evans likes to rotate his squad, not necessarily centre-halves, but that was because Piergiani was absolutely incredible last season. I think if Piergiani picks up an injury, who's really in that team going to replace him at the moment? I'm not sure, but I think on a free transfer, Emmanuel Montfey would be a really smart piece of business for the Stevenage. Now, as of right now, Stevenage don't have a single left back on the book, so 2 that I'm going to suggest. Firstly is Cameron Borthwick-Jackson. Again, I did suggest him for Northampton Town to sign. In the end, I've gone with Patrick Brough, who actually suggested for Carlisle United, so I'm not too far away. Cameron Borthwick-Jackson on a free transfer, I think would be a really good recruit for Steve Evans' side. Now, don't get me wrong, obviously Saxon Early is going to be their main target for that left wing back role, but I think that's pretty obvious, so I'm not going to suggest him. On a free transfer though, 26 years of age, I think Cameron Borthwick-Jackson would be a really, really good signing for Stevenage. 22 appearances last season in the league, 21 starts for him last season. His passing stats are pretty decent, to be fair, 0.7 key passes per game, 1 big chance created with 33% of his crosses being accurate as well, 1.3 interceptions per game, 1.4 tackles per game, and 1.7 clearances per game as well. He averaged 4.4 total duels per 90, 1.9 on the ground, winning 52%, and 2.5 in the air, winning 67%, which I think for a fullback, winning 67% of your aerial duels is pretty impressive. He's got that League One experience, and I think he could certainly suit Steve Evans' style of play, but he would be more a second choice. My main choice, my first choice that I'm going to suggest is Dan Butler from Peterborough United. Obviously, they've recently brought in Nathan Thompson from there. He's currently contracted with Peterborough until 2024, but he has been placed on the transfer list by Peterborough, and obviously Steve Evans has got that link, being the previous Peterborough United manager. He knows their owner as well in Darren McAntony, and I think he could get a really good price. Dan Butler at 28 years of age, he had his injury problems, not last season, or was it last season, at the start of the season, or it was at some point recently he had, was it a hole in his leg, something crazy like that, but last season for Peterborough, he played 27 matches, starting 16 in the league, which is not bad considering he has had his injury problems, to be fair. He chipped in with 1 assist as well, but I think if you can keep him him fully fit, he's a really, really good left back, left wing back for this level, can do either of them roles pretty comfortably. And if you don't get someone like a Saxon early, I doubt Dan Butler's going to be a lot of money with him being a left back, only 1 year left on his contract as well. You know that Peterborough like to get the best value for money, to be fair, but last season he averaged 0.6 interceptions per game, 0.6 tackles per game, and 1.3 clearances per game as well. He averaged 3.2 total duels per 90, 1.4 on the ground, winning 61%, and 1.8 in the air, winning 65%. So he's very, very good in 1v1 defending, whether that be on the floor or in the end. I think he would be a really, really good signing for Stevenage. Yes, I'll have to pay a little bit of a transfer fee, but like what I say, with 1 year left on his contract, I doubt that's going to be monumental, and someone for them to consider if they can't quite get a hold of Saxon early. Into my midfield suggestions then, as my number 6 holding midfielder suggestion, I'm going to suggest Dennis Adeniran. Now, I don't know how realistic this is, because obviously he was linked with my team Bradford City, heavily linked really, released by Sheffield Wednesday, and I think he's more than good enough to be playing in League One. I think this will be an absolutely exceptional signing for Stevenage. 24 years of age, so still plenty of time for him to develop. Obviously, it was a part of Sheffield Wednesday's playoff promotion in the season just gone by, playing 22 matches in total. He chipped in with 2 goals as well, creating one big chance, averaging 0.6 key passes per game, 0.6 interceptions per game, 1.0 tackles per game, and 0.5 clearances per game as well. He averaged 2.9 total duels per 90, 2.4 on the floor, winning 58% of them on the floor, on the ground, sorry, and 0.5 in the air, winning 44% of them. So not quite as good in the air, but I think as a holding midfielder, ball winner, brilliant technician as well, in my opinion, a brilliant distributor of the ball, a bit similar to Jake Reeves, but much better defensively, and I think it would be an absolutely exceptional recruitment for Stevenage. Obviously, with him coming from Sheffield Wednesday, I doubt his wages will be the cheapest, but we've seen Stevenage have constantly increased their budget under Steve Evans. He likes to squeeze every last penny out of the owners, and I think it would be an absolutely exceptional signing for Stevenage. In terms of my number 8 suggestion, I'm going to suggest Ben Stevenson, recently released by Forest Green Rovers. I've no idea why they decided to release him. I don't know if he turned down a contract there or not, but I think this one would be an absolutely incredible signing. A very, very good technical player. Had his injury problems a little bit last season, 26 years of age, so again, not even in his prime yet. Last season, played 29 matches, starting 26 of them. Yes, he got no goals and 1 assist, but it's not about that. He's had an 85% passing accuracy in his own half, a 63% passing accuracy in the opposition half. 45% of his long balls were accurate, and 41% of his chip passes were accurate as well. He averaged 1 interceptions per game, 2.1 tackles per game, and 1.3 clearances per game as well. He averaged 3.6 total duels per 90, 2.7 on the ground, winning 59%, and 0.9 in the air, winning 47%. So he's a very, very steady player. Yes, he didn't really work out for him with Forest Green last season, but that was because they were one of the worst sides League One has ever seen, and I think on a free transfer, this one would be an absolutely incredible pickup for Steve Evans' side, in my opinion, and I do think he would suit their style of play. He's a bit of a rat in the midfield, loves to scrap around for second balls and all that sort of stuff, and I think he could certainly thrive under Steve Evans, in my opinion. In terms of a right winger suggestion, now again, he's a right winger who can also play as a striker. I'm going to suggest experienced frontman Elias Kachunga. Now again, I did suggest him for Carlisle United as well, but I think on a free transfer, as a backup option with the experience that he's got, I think he would be a great backup to Elliot List if you are going to play a 4-3-3. 31 years of age, so again provides a wealth of experience, was part of Bolton's playoff push last season as well, where they ended up getting to the playoff semi-final. Last season for Bolton, played 38 matches, only the 14 starts for him though, chipped in with 1 assist, creating 1 big chance, with an 80% passing accuracy in his own half and a 67% passing accuracy in the opposition half, with 46% of his chip passes being accurate and 23% of his long balls being accurate as well. He averaged 0.3 dribbles per 90, 50% of them being successful, which for a winger is pretty decent, to be fair, and he was fouled on 1.0 occasions per game as well. It wasn't the greatest season last season for Kachunga, but I think as a backup, he's not exactly going to be expensive. I don't think, like what I say, will bring a wealth of experience, and I do think that would be a pretty steady Steve Evans type signing for them, and I think that could work really well, to be honest with you, if he wants to keep in League One. I think somewhere like a Stevenage or a Carlisle, whoever he goes to out of them two, I think it would certainly be a good move because of the experience that he'll bring. Like I mentioned, I don't really think they're going to play with number 10, so I'm not going to suggest someone to play in that role, and they've got players who could probably play there if you need them to. Left wing, I think they're more than fine with Harry Anderson and also Alex McDonald as well, who they signed up from Gillingham. In terms of a striking option then, I know Steve Evans likes to have 4 or 5 different options. Obviously, they released Luke Norris, and I think, in my opinion, I'm going to suggest Verdane Oliver. Yes, he's got 2 years left on his contract with my team at Bradford City, but I think we've seen that Steve Evans can get the best out of Viden Oliver, and the goals that he scored in League One in the 2 seasons prior to joining Bradford City, I think were really good. In the 21/22 season in League One, he scored 10 goals in 38 starts. And then in 20/21, he scored 17 goals in 39 starts. Steve Evans knows how to get the best out of Viden Oliver, and I don't think the transfer fee would be a lot because he's probably on big wages. Viden Oliver's probably not going to be a starter as well for Bradford City next season with how good Andy Cook was last season. If he can continue that form, there were strong rumours that Stevenage were trying to sign Andy Cook as well. There were rumours that they'd offered him more money than what he's ended up signing at Bradford City with, and I think Viden Oliver could be a pretty good signing for Stevenage if they're happy to get the chequebook out. Yes, he's 31 now, but I think he would provide some great competition for players like March, Roberts, Reed. They don't really have that pacey option, but obviously Elliot List can play up there if you need him to. And in my opinion, I think he would be a pretty good signing for them. Last season for Bradford City, he scored 3 goals in 8 starts. He made 30 appearances though in the league. In the league. I was about to say in all competitions there. But obviously last season Stevenage played so many different formations. They played a 5-3-2 on 33 occasions, a 4-1-2-1-2 on 9 occasions, a 3-4-2-1 on 4 occasions, a 4-3-3 on 3 occasions, a 4-3-1-2 on 3 occasions, a 3-4-1-2 twice, a 4-2-3-1 twice, a 3-5-2 once, and a 4-4-2 once as well. So clearly they do like to play a 5-3-2. If all of them signings are to happen that I've just suggested, is that 8 in total, I think. Let's see how they could potentially line up. In goal for me would be Tay Ashby Hammond. Your 3 centre-backs would be Nathan Thompson, Terence Van Kooten and Cal Piagiani, with Luther James Wilding as your right wing-back and Dan Butler as your left wing-back. Dennis Adeniran as your holding midfielder, with Nick Freeman and Ben Stevenson as your more advanced midfielders, which will obviously leave you 2 strikers to be Viden Oliver and Jordan Roberts. On the bench, that'd leave Chris Maxwell, Dan Sweeney, Cameron Borthwick-Jackson, Jake Forster-Caskey, Elliot List, Harry Anderson and Jamie Reid. So a lot of quality players not even making the squad. Obviously, they're going to get injuries, they're going to get suspensions, and that is why you need a big squad of quality. You clearly saw last season with Steve Evans' side that no one was really a nailed-on starter. It was whoever's going to suit that match, you're going to play. This is very similar to how Mark White takes his approach at Dorking Wanderers. They have a squad of 20 with no one really as a specific starter, and if you suit how we're going to play, you suit the opposition that we're playing against, you're going to play. And in my opinion, I think that team would certainly be more than good enough to avoid relegation. I actually think Stevenage are going to surprise quite a lot of people next season. I think Stevenage could maybe even make that top half. I'm going to leave it there though for today's video. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for me. If you could try and hit 70 likes, as I said at the start of today's video, that'd be massively appreciated. Subscribe if you are new as well. We are on the road to 8,000 subscribers, so please make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already, with that post notification bell on. It's free to do so and it does massively help out. Drop a comment in as well down in the comment section down below. Out of all these signings that I've suggested, Stevenage fans, how many of them would you take and who would you take as well? Thank you very much for watching today's video. Have a great rest of your day and I'll see you all very soon for another one. Peace.